3 or 4 hours on my new Huntington Hop Hamboard longboard skateboard, and the one thing I noticed after a couple hours, and I probably should have checked this right away, is there was some play in the wheels, and I simply tightened these nuts to get rid of the play, and I did a wheel test, and essentially what I'm waiting for is to see that they're not being held up by the tightness of the nuts and that they spin relatively equally and stop at the same time, which they kind of do. Same with the rear. They were likewise, one of them was kind of had some play in it. And then I said, well, let me check the other fixtures, and I found out that the truck mounts were also loose. Of course, there's Allen head screws that go through the deck on either side, and they were significantly loose. Not so much where I noticed it riding, but I just tightened them down a little bit. And I mentioned to the manufacturer, Hamboards, you know, it'd be nice if they had some maintenance instructions on their website, and they were kind enough to email me back and apologize. And they mentioned that they've never seen that issue on the Huntington Hop, but they saw it on the Biscuit, wherein in the warehouse facility the boards were expanding and drying and stretching the bolts or loosening the bolts. And I'm not sure I buy that, but I more likely think that they're hiring shoddy manufacturing and not really doing product quality. And the other thing I noticed too is that the trucks were creaking. Now I thought originally it was the bushings. I thought it was the bushings just kind of squeaking inside the mounts. But what I found out is that washer there, which is more of a cup, was actually moving back and forth under the nut and creaking and rubbing. The bottom of the nut was rubbing against the top of the washer. So I had to tighten the front truck significantly to get it to stop from creaking and rubbing. So I've done that, and I'm going to ride it for a bit. And of course I fixed it already, so I can't demonstrate the creaking. But that washer was moving back and forth and rubbing against the bottom of that bolt or the nut. So I tightened that down, and I'm going to ride it for a bit, and I'm having a good time on this board. It's a nice board. I'm not used to skateboards because it's my first board, but I should have been more careful about checking some of those things before riding it and assuming that it came from the factory in perfect condition. So we're going to give it a ride, and hopefully the creaking's going away. See, that's what it was doing. I don't know if you can see it. That's sliding back and forth under that nut. So I'm going to tighten it some more. So I've tightened the trucks to eliminate the creaking, and the board just doesn't ride as nice. So I've loosened them back up again just to confirm that, and I'll demonstrate the creaking if you can hear it. You hear that? And I can't pump as well with the trucks tight. Yeah, that's pretty That's pretty not good. I thought tightening the trucks would not, to the extent I did, would not affect the board ride, but I think it is. That's frustrating. So what I've done is I've backed off on the truck on the back of the board until it started creaking the same as the front, and then I tightened them up a little bit until they both stopped creaking. And I think now I have a more balanced board. I'm getting a better feel for the ride out of it. Maybe the back trucks were too tight and the front were too loose, so when I tightened the front, it might have made the board a little less flexible and fun to ride. But I feel like I have a happy medium now and it's not creaking. So I would suggest to Hamboards that they put a few tricks and tips up there for the beginner riders like myself, who might not know what to look for when they get a new board, and just to make sure the adjustments are tight and safe and everything's operating as you would hope. So that's my 4 or 5 hour review into riding this thing. You can go back and see some of my other reviews, and you can also check out some of my other content on KAFKUBA. Thank you.